Welcome to day 1373, I believe it is. It's 1:26 in the morning, technically on 1374. It's going to be another one taker today. I apologize for that. I got up normal time for a off day Friday, about 10:30. I got in bed for a while, did tons of emails on YouTube and all of that fun stuff. Finally got the email from yesterday or last night's pre-order from AT&T. Was able to get the pre-order done by 4:10. Let me just say, on Apple's part, they completely dropped the ball again. The live stream the other day for the keynote was a complete failure, and in my opinion, so was the pre-order experience. I mean, Apple's online store didn't even open until like 5:29 in the morning, I think it was, or 5:48 or something crazy Eastern time. So why they were 3 hours late to open the store worldwide, I don't quite understand. That should have been an automated process that, given the correct timestamp, changes a value and then goes live. It isn't that difficult. We did stuff like that with TechInform and the E39 source. It's a very minor programming. For a company at the scale of Apple, I wonder if it was just a total mistake that somebody needs to be fired for, or if they really just thought, you know what, not feeling it. Let's give it a few more hours. Let's let everybody just keep refreshing our home page. They don't have Google AdSense on their home page, so I don't know if they have some secret revenue generator there or what. It's not like Apple needs it. But anyways, most of us were able to complete our pre-orders through AT&T, which apparently in the very beginning worked beautifully. And after those first 40 seconds, it took the rest of us over an hour to be able to find responsive web pages and get through that. Anyways, I was successful in ordering a black 128 gig 6 that will be delivered on the 19th, in less than 1 week from today. So that's good. I was able to do that, although it took quite a while. So what I hear now is that they're out of stock or back ordered 3 to 4 weeks on almost everything. The 6 Plus went out first, and I think they are currently 7 to 10 days back on the rest of the 6s of all sizes, colors, and carriers. So I am grateful that I was able to get that done before that happened. So apparently they broke records for pre-orders with the 6. Not a big surprise, they seem to every year, but it's definitely easier with the bigger launches. The 4, the 5, the 6, stuff like that. The 4S, the 5S, and what I'm guessing will be the 6S in 1 year from now are, to most people, lesser upgrades. They're the same case, they look the same, you can't really tell. Maybe they add a new feature and they improve performance, which is always welcome. That's one of the big things I wanted to discuss, was the specs. And I think I briefly touched on this in a different day's video. All of the Androids, they have quad-core processors now, they have 2 or 4 gigs of RAM, they have, like 40 megapixel cameras in that Lumia or whatever that is. And that kind of goes for, it's the same thing in cars. Let's make an analogy. So you make something that has 900 horsepower. Great, you got a lot of power. Can the chassis take it? Can the drivetrain take it? Do the electronics match up with that? There's a lot of different things to look at. It's a lot more than power. It's how those factors are put into play. And a lot of it with hardware performance comes down to software. Can the software handle that? Is the software optimized? Do the hardware and the software work together? And does that make a good user experience? And what Apple's always been really good at doing is taking good hardware and making a phenomenal user experience with phenomenal software. And you're never going to convince me that Android's phenomenal software, Android OS. It just isn't, as far as I'm concerned. Anytime I've ever used it, it's just a complete conglomeration of what seem to be third-party applications that are trying to work together and succeeding at about a 25% level. Since the very beginning, before I bought an iPhone, I was seriously considering I think it was a Droid phone. I don't remember what it was at this point. That was 4 or 5 years ago. And then after I used the OS for the first time, I just couldn't wrap my head around how it was usable. Now, it's been a long time. There's been 45 versions of Android that only 5% of people have adopted since then. So maybe it's changed. But anyways, those are my thoughts on the iPhone. I used my grandfather's eligibility with his number, so activating the phone, I'll now have to walk into a store in the flesh hand it over and tell them that it needs to be put on a different number. So that's not a huge deal. What else was I going to talk about today? We went out to dinner with my grandparents. We changed oil in the smart car. He hadn't done that in 7,000 miles, so he brought it up here. I had all the tools and nice jack, so we were able to hammer that out in 30 minutes. Then we had Applebee's, came back here. Brad came over for a little bit. We hung out. That was fun. Alex wasn't able to make it. Everybody else is busy. So that was Friday. I did mow next door today. So all in all, it's a semi-productive day. Tonight is over. I just watched another episode of House of Cards, and I hit some 70s show. So I was able to relax a little bit. Tomorrow's Saturday. I'm going to be heading down to the grandparents' house. A couple little jobs around there, some finances, the normal stuff with that. Tomorrow night, I have no idea what's going on. Try to film more tomorrow now that I have a full battery. It's been charging all day. And that's it. My last topic for today's one take, I apologize if I'm boring you, is iOS 8. Now running on my 5S. So I was able to find a copy of the GM, the Gold Master, and restore my iPhone. Now, when I sold it to Gazelle, I told them that it was unlocked. And obviously it wasn't. So I had to go to AT&T, fill out their form. Within 2 hours, they told me that my device is eligible for an unlock. And to unlock, you need to restore, reset, reinstall the OS, and then it restores. So I kind of wanted to play with iOS 8 early, and it was a good opportunity for me to restore and unlock the phone. So I was successful in unlocking the phone, and iOS 8's been kind of another poor experience with Apple. Had a lot of issues with sync, and I do have the new version of iTunes that came out, 3 days ago, that supposedly supports syncing with iOS 8. Now I'm restoring an iOS 7 backup on iOS 8, so I don't know if there's complications with that, but there sure as hell shouldn't be. We're dealing with a GM, with a version of iTunes that technically supports iOS 8, and there's going to be thousands of people in a week that restore their new phones to backups of their previous phones running iOS 7, and that should be a seamless experience. However, it's not. The sync constantly fails to finalize. Half my audio isn't there, my songs. Looks like all the pictures made it over, but it's definitely slower. Software is a little smarter. Now it's running on hardware that it knows isn't the latest and greatest, and I think the 6 will rectify those performance issues. And hopefully every other issue. iTunes 12 probably coming in Yosemite, which, by the way, I hope is soon. Should also rectify some of those problems. But anyways, iOS 8 seems to be pretty good. Aside from the syncing issues, I haven't had anything crash or lag up too bad within the OS. Let's see, what new features have I found? The keyboard's kind of cool, the QuickType or whatever they're going to call that. Little things like that. A couple icons changed. It's not at all a huge upgrade. In fact, it's probably one of the smallest upgrades to iOS. iOS 7 was ginormous, total UI change. iOS 8 seems like it's just going to be a better piece of software for the iPhone 6 to run, supporting the new features and interface of the 6. But for the 5S, it's very, very, very minor. So the big things I think we're going to see with the 6 are the new form factor, the screen, the camera, and features like Apple Pay, stuff like that. So anyways, what is that now? Almost 10 minutes of nerd talk. Hope you guys enjoyed. I apologize for a one take. I really didn't do much outside the house today aside from mow and go to dinner for an hour. But that is going to be it. So I'll talk to you guys on Saturday. Leave me some comments, thoughts, opinions down below, and we'll talk tomorrow. Good night.